chicks for something, swagger in your step, making every girl in here wanna be your Juliet.
Alex, first, thank you so much for speaking with me. I got to ask you right off the top, how are you holding up throughout all this? The pandemic, racism being spoken out front these days, people arguing about masks, wearing them, not wearing them. How are you holding up through all this?
Right. Well, it's been certainly interesting times. I think, as far as COVID goes, I've just been trying to make the most of this time to, remain creative, work on projects, do lots of co-writing and all of that. And definitely I'm team wear your mask. I just think, it's important to be respectful of others and show that we're taking the pandemic seriously. And, speaking on racism and the Black Lives Matter movement, I think obviously systemic racism has been happening here for a long time. And it's so overdue to have these conversations. I grew up in a family, so my dad is white and my mom is mixed racial. So we had always had these conversations in my family. So it's kind of been interesting to see, other people start to have these conversations that I do feel like I've been lucky to have had within my family for a long time.
Now, what part of the country are you in?
So I'm actually in Calgary.
How is it there? I mean, how are people holding up there?
I think people are doing well. I think, Alberta itself had a bit of a spike in cases. So everybody I think we were thinking it was going to be okay. And then we noticed, people were, enjoying themselves maybe a little bit too much, enjoying the good weather, and everybody kind of had to reel it back in. But, I think people are doing well, and they're trying their best to, follow some of the rules and just kind of get a grasp on this whole situation.
Well, you know what? The good thing is, even though we are still, people are dealing with stage 2 and stage 3s and things like that, you're still able to release music, so congratulations on that. You have a new single out right now, coming up right now. I do believe it's out this Friday.
It is, yes. So I'm super, super grateful to be able to still release music and, work on a great campaign. I think that's something I'm very grateful for, is being able to use social media as a tool to, continue to reach people and reach fans, as well as, do things like this awesome interview today to be able to, still connect with people just virtually.
Now, I appreciate that very much. But we want to get to, though, let's talk a little bit about the love of music before we get to the new single. Where did that all begin?
Well, it's I've been doing this for a long time. I started singing in elementary school, like in choir, probably around 5 years old. I was doing solos. And then from there, around 7, I entered my first singing competition, and I fell in love with the stage. I also happened to win the contest that I'd entered in. So for me, I was like, you know what, this is sweet. I won a free bike. I won a free helmet. So I'm like, okay, cool. I actually really enjoy performing, and I can win free stuff. This is win-win.
What was it like, though, going to Los Angeles, though, because that was part of your growing in this music career?
For sure, yeah. And so, after the singing competition when I was really young, things started to, get more serious and definitely more challenging. So going down to Los Angeles was a huge growing experience. I was grateful to be able to work with a producer named Walter Athanasieff down there. And I learned a ton from him about, recording my voice, and I got to sing at some really cool events. But I also kind of learned more about myself and my style and sort of the artist that I wanted to be. And I don't think that LA was necessarily the right place for me. So I'm grateful to also have had those experiences and learn from them, and be continuing to pursue music in a different way at home in Canada.
Was Nashville a better place for you?
I think Nashville definitely would be a better place. And I'm hoping to get back down there to do some more writing and stuff, as soon as we're allowed. But we have a really, thriving country music scene in Canada that's really just starting to do really cool things. So I am grateful to be here as well.
Now, something that you have been honored with, and I've never actually heard about this, the North American Country Music Association International Awards. What is that? And again, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's as it says, it's an international awards program that takes place in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. So just a little bit outside of Nashville. And people from all over the world come to compete in this international songwriting competition. And I was lucky enough to go down thanks to a singing competition that I did in Edmonton called the Global Country Star Search. And I went through that program, and then I got to go down to Nashville and then also compete in the North American Country Music International Awards. And it was so cool to be able to compete with people from all over the world. There were people from Australia. There were people from, obviously, the U.S., and I also won in my category. So that was quite an honor.
Well, congratulations on that, but we're glad we have you back in the Great White North, too, especially because, as we said earlier, you have a new single out. What's the single called, and what's the song about?
Yeah, so my new single called Gentleman, coming out on Friday, August 14th, is all about, calling out that guy we all love to hate. I'm sure you can imagine who I'm talking about. Maybe out at a club or a bar, he just thinks he's a big shot and the hottest thing ever. And this song is just super feisty, and it kind of calls this guy out and, tells him that we know who he really is. And I love it. It's a little bit of a girl power moment to be like, yeah, I'm not interested.
Okay, I got to ask, though, is this from experience or is this from friends who mentioned this? Where did this story come from?
You know what? It's a combination. So I wrote this song with my friends, Aaron Pollock and Spencer Sheen, both of which are very much gentlemen. But they were sort of talking about how hard it is to, be successful at trying to meet somebody when you have these guys that are sort of ruining it for you. So we were kind of talking about that, and then I could relate on my own personal experiences from my younger days going out. I'm married now, so it's in the past, but I could definitely relate to that feeling.
Are we looking at an EP or album to follow this?
Absolutely, yeah. So I recorded a bunch of gear during the pandemic, and I'm working on recording it's looking different than it would have, but I'm still hoping to put out an EP, hopefully, sometime in 2021.
And what about any virtual performances? Are we looking at that in the next coming weeks or months?
Yeah, so I have a few appearances on some virtual shows, and I'm planning on doing, some kind of virtual release event. So stay tuned on my social media, and hopefully I'll be announcing something soon.
Okay, but in the meantime, to see or hear about any of those announcements, social media is the place to go. Where do we go to follow you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at Alex Hughes Music. My Facebook page is, you can just search Alex Hughes. It's Alex Hughes Official. And, my website has links to all this as well, just alexhughes.com.
Fantastic. Alex, thank you so much for making time to speak with me. Please be safe, and I'm crossing fingers that the next time we get a chance to talk, it'll be in person, and hopefully we'll get most of this pandemic all gone, and it'll be a better world.
I would love that. Thanks so much, Rudy, and thank you so much for having me on here today.
Take care, be safe, and we'll talk soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.